Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth and I'm back today to do another video pulling some cards, channeling some messages for everyone. I am a psychic, but I also have a full-time job and I do private readings after working on the weekend. So if you would like a private reading, you're more than welcome to check out my website, oracledaphne.com. The website is posted in the links below. My last video didn't get a lot of views, so please, if you could give me a thumbs up, that'd be great. It helps my channel and helps get these messages out to everyone. So I'd really appreciate it. I do appreciate everyone's love and support. I do want to shout out to Jeff in the UK as always. I didn't shout out to him in the last video, but I want to shout out to him again today because he's just been supportive this whole time about wanting me to continue on, and I just feel like his generosity is like overwhelming and amazing. So I just want to say, hey Jeff, thanks so much. Yeah, so I am going to be pulling a bunch of cards from different decks. I may or may not use some of my own decks. So I may or may not show the cards. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I took a little bit of a break from October until recently. I don't have a set idea of how or when I'm going to be posting or uploading. I'm just kind of doing it as time permits. So and I did pull last time from this Enchanted Map Oracle deck, which I think it's Call It Baron Reed, which I'm going to be doing again. I really like this deck, and I may or may not talk about the signs. This video is for basically all signs and for everyone, and without a time frame. I do not want to structure this video by time frames or by signs, so these messages may or may not apply to you, and the best way to to get private information or more information is to really do private reading. So that said, I actually had to stop this video and I had pulled a card, and I'm going to show you the card. The first card was Stuck in the Mud in reverse, and I like to pull from the Enchanted Map deck in reverses because the messages are so awesome. I just feel like they're just so awesome. So the card in the upright to me is about needing to slow down, but in the reverse it's really about trying to get what you want when you want it. And to me it's about having an agenda. And recently I have been contemplating how for a long time I had an agenda for my life. And this is just an example for some of you who are trying to understand what I mean by an agenda. So my agenda kind of looked like getting into a relationship, getting pregnant, maybe eventually getting married, moving in and having a nice house, maybe planting a garden, having some animals, getting a dog. Like this is like my agenda. This is like what I wanted for my life. But the thing is that the people that have come into my life and the things that have happened to me and by me and my choices is that I've actually learned a lot more by not having that come to pass. And and I'm not saying that it's never going to happen. It's just sort of like not something that like I have to have at this moment when I want it and how I want it exactly. And I've let go of that. And since I've let go of that, it's kind of freed me up to experience other things and to understand that I was trying to control it. So people can have different types of agendas. Like it's not just getting married, living happily ever after, although a lot of women, that's the agenda. It's important to recognize that it is an agenda so that you can detach from it. You can detach. And it's interesting because we're really moving into the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius to me is all about detachment. And I'm an Aquarius. I got a lot of planets in Capricorn too, but I am an Aquarius. And so the thing about the Aquarius energy is detaching. It's detaching. It's being detached. It's you know, keeping things at an arm's length and really taking a time to observe and being observant. And now other people may disagree, but that's kind of how I see it. And so I feel like in society right now, there's this element of detachment. There's this element of like not wanting to get too close or not wanting to get to examine things. And there are people that really do that are really kind of working against this energy of detachment, but that's like another whole video. So basically, I guess what I really want to say is that I want to talk about, like, for a second, this existential issue of programming. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but I really want to talk about this now. So why would you want something and not be able to get it in this life? Well, there's this thing that I perceive as being programming. We're all programmed. And the ultimate program is to get us to grow and have kind of like you could call it a spiritual experience of like constant growth. But here on planet Earth, we're kind of stuck in a place of the ego, of constantly being hungry, of constantly wanting more, of constantly thinking about relationships and love, and falling into the trap of the traps in life. And I do want to say that love is the answer, but it's also the trap. So it's really, really challenging to get anywhere. And that's the idea. The program is sort of set up so that we're in a place of constant growth and we're not really getting to the very end. It just is like infinity. It's like it just goes on forever. So essentially, when I talk about an agenda, I talk about people who are kind of working against the program of their life and the program in general. So it's sort of like, you're like, I really want to go ice skating, but for whatever reason, the universe sends you like a whole bunch of other shit that you have to deal with and you can't go. Some of you really want a relationship, but the universe constantly sends you karmic relationships, douchebags, and like one night stands, and you're like, okay, well, why can't I have that? You know, that's sort of like this program versus, it's not like them versus us or the program versus us. It's just makes it hard to get what we want when we want it at times. And I think what's most important in this video is for people to understand that it's not like we don't get a say. It's not like some people actually don't believe that we have free will, and I believe that we all have free will and we all make choices for ourselves. And I kind of want to do another video about free will in general also. But the thing about free will versus this program is that this program is trying to get us to grow to another and see things differently, and that's not necessarily what we in this physical body on this planet want for ourselves in the moment. Some of us want in the moment, you know, a house and a garden, and the universe is saying in some way, but what about all this other stuff that that you're supposed to be learning or that you're supposed to be doing? That's just kind of how it is. So it's just important to understand that's what I feel like that's what we're working on, and this is what we're dealing with. And the more we can examine some of the things that we're doing, things can kind of improve. Now, I'm not saying that you need to give up your free will and just like let go, but sometimes letting things go and not having such a set mindset or such a set idea of how things are going to go will actually make things improve. So there's that. Card number 2 that I pulled was the balancing act in reverse. Okay, balancing act in reverse. Let me just see what I've got here. To me, this feels like it's not that things are out of balance. It's just that to me, this feels like it's obsession in some way. To me, it's about being fixed on one thing, kind of having tunnel vision. It says neglecting essential matters that require your attention. It says adjust yourself to the conditions of your environment that you have no control over. And balance will come more easily. To me, it just feels like there's imbalance because you are focused, or some of you are focused very much on getting your own way or getting what it is that you want, or you see kind of like you see it as kind of like there is like this, you have blinders on. To me, it's blinders. For some of you, it's just neglecting what your body is saying, neglecting taking better care of yourself. And it's weird because before I even started recording, the message was kind of coming already about not listening to your body, not listening to when you're tired or when you're hungry or when you're staying up too late or when you're needing to take a time out or take a rest or go outside. It's just sort of like you're not paying attention. And some of it, to me, it's obsession. It's obsession about one thing. Some of you really want to find Mr. or Mrs. Right, and you have like tunnel vision and like you don't see anybody else, and there's just like that's what you want. Others, the tunnel is you're very focused on one thing or getting one thing, or some of you, it's in a job, maybe it's getting ahead, maybe it's climbing the ladder, maybe you're only focused on your career. There is nothing else. And to me, it needs to be, the balance to me needs to be more variety. Needs to be more variety maybe in what you're eating. Needs to be more variety in what you're drinking. Whatever the status quo is needs to be examined. And like, it's so weird because when I say status quo, I start to just get so irritated. Because to me, it's this rigidity. It's like this rigidity of like having people that have to have the status quo. And we all cling to things. We all cling to this, sometimes we cling to structure or habit or something that brings us stability and comfort. But at the same time, this is like, some of you really are like wanting to control everything. You're trying to control everything and it's too much. It's too much control. It's too much focus. It's too much, like, it just feels like you're overly focused. You're overly wanting to attain what it is that you want, and you're overly like obsessing about one thing. So it's variety. To me, it's variety. And, to me, my guide is like showing me, okay, so it's like where you're putting your attention, that's where your energy is going. If you are putting your attention into one person, or one job, or one thing, whatever that is, that's where your energy is going to go. So to me, it's like, I feel like you're losing energy. You need to get your power back some way by diversifying where your attention is going and paying attention to other things that are just as important. So like you may like be totally focused on maybe making money, but you're totally neglecting your body. Like you could have the greatest job, but you're not eating right. Maybe you're sleeping, but maybe it's not enough. And it's just like you're totally neglecting other things that will help you come into like a place of balance. I feel like that's the message there. Let me see what else. Ooh, okay, so you got the Bone Collector. The Bone Collector is my least favorite card, okay, because it talks about karma, but this is of course, it's in reverse. The Bone Collector talks about missing pieces, missing parts, trying to figure out what it is that you've lost. And okay, so it's also about past lives. It's also about trying to come into Yeah, a place of like knowledge and understanding. So it says the past has a way of repeating itself when you haven't learned the lesson inherent in the original situation. So some of you, it's like this, it's like a circle. Some of you, and again, I see karma like a circle. I see karma like a repeating message or a repeating thing that you're kind of stuck trying to learn. It says the bone collector is here to challenge you to see yourself as a whole being and not one who is perpetually trying to heal an old wound. It says you'll repeat the past if you don't reclaim the things that you believe were lost. So some of you, it's like trying to like go back and try to do something differently. I think of it as like the definition of insanity. And this is something I wanted to say before, is that karma is kind of like the definition of insanity. It says like, you know, you repeat something when you want to try to change it. You repeat something when you, when in some way the lesson wasn't learned the first time. So it's like if you repeat what you did before, you're going to get, the outcome is still going to be the same. So if you don't make any change, I think that's the message. If you don't change, then nothing is going to change if you don't change. And people have a really hard time with this because people don't really want to change. And I've talked about this a little bit in my other video, but it's just sort of like the karmic lesson for some people is breaking a cycle. And there's a lot of different types of cycles. Some cycles are relationship cycles. Breaking up and getting back together is one. Cheating and being cheated on is another. My guide is saying something about the victim, being a victim, perpetrator victim kind of cycle. You know, people ask, well, why do they always attract the same type of person? That is because they're, a lot of times it's a karmic lesson that they're trying to learn from the people in their lives, but they're not really getting it because it's something that they're trying to do over again and expecting something different. So it's like nothing really has changed within them. Excuse me. I feel like this is like one of the hardest lessons. All I can tell you is that you need to examine your relationship to, hang on one second, your relationship to the past, your relationship to past relationships, your relationships in general, and where the circle is, where the repeat is, where you're stuck on, what is it that you're stuck on? What is it that you're stuck doing over and over? That's I guess the lesson. I do want to pull a few more cards just to see what I get. This is just like from a different deck altogether, and some of you, there's like 2 or more people in a love triangle. You got a love triangle situation going on. Some of you are going to be having, there's like, to me, again, there's this element of balance. Some of you, it's like you're going to be coming into more balance with finances, which is going to be good for some of you. Some of you are examining or going to be examining a long-term, someone with the potential to have a long-term relationship. Some of you don't want a long-term relationship or have had or are having difficulty in a relationship that has gone long-term. I see a lot of like back and forth, could be texting back and forth. I see a lot of issues with, you know, maybe it's confrontation, and some of you, your relationships are very fueled by, I don't want to say the word selfishness, but it's fueled by a sense of, like, my guide's also saying like hidden desires, but to me it's like something deeper. It's like more like stuff that's under the surface. So more psychological stuff, more psychology. It's not just like, okay, on the surface, you're going head to head with someone. Some of you, it's, you know, it's going to be different for everyone. Some of you are very, very busy, or you're going to be very busy. To me, there's this element of bitterness that's coming through that either you're working on or you're trying to work on. And I definitely feel like for some of you, the element of bitterness is something that has come from either having to face like a death in the family, or having to face heartbreak in some way, or having to or having poor communication. Some of you, it's poor communication with others. I do feel like there's this element of like kind of expecting bad news or expecting bad things to happen, and they do, and like it just kind of is frustrating for you, I think. I definitely feel like the element of messages is very strong at this time and for you. So there's going to be things I feel like I feel like there's good news and bad news. I feel like the phone's going to ring, and some of you it's going to be really bad news, and others it's going to be like, to me, the communication is going to be more constant. It's more of a constant thing. I definitely feel like there's a lot of social activity. On a positive note, there's a lot of social activity that's going to be happening for you. And I definitely feel like social activity, whatever it is, I don't care if it's like going out with friends and hanging out, or if it's going to, I want to say, to a party or to some place where there's lots of people. I feel like you need to work on your social circle. If you don't have a social circle, you need to work on it. Some of you are just very busy, and you're going to be continuously very busy for this time period. And when I say for this time period, it's for you specifically who's watching. So like for the time that you're in right now. I definitely feel like there's going to be, like, to me, like a pocket of time where you go through and you're very, things will piss you off. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to say, you may be really pissed off. You may be really pissed off at things that are going on. And the way things are going again, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, wanting what you want when you want it. Maybe things are pissing you off, or maybe a certain person's pissing you off. And it's sort of just like you need to take time to retreat a little bit and not focus on that other person. Time to cool off, time to have for yourself. I also see things kind of feeling like really unsafe. For some of you, it's a feeling of really being really unsafe, or just really like, yeah, just feeling not secure or not safe, or not like that things are stable for some reason. And things are, there's also a lot of fears and paranoia and like, worry that things are going to happen, when I don't necessarily feel like that's the case. I feel like it's more like you in your head thinking that things are going to, like, worst case scenarios are going to happen. Some of you, you're creating your own storm. Okay. You're creating your own storm, and it's just, but I definitely feel like, if some of you are like having a difficult time, maybe it's legal stuff too. So I do feel like there's a legal thing for some of you. You're having a difficult time, you're going through a difficult patch. If that's the case, then I definitely feel like that things are going to come through at the last minute. A lot of things can come through at the very end of a situation or of a cycle. Some of you, it's very interesting. Some of you have addiction problems, and you're going to be overcoming your addiction problems. I definitely see that. Some of you kind of like may have like a crisis of faith. I want to say that to me, it's like a crisis of faith where you don't really have a belief in anything. Some of you may not even believe in anything anymore. You may go through a time of like, you may kind of become a little bit of an atheist, I want to say. And it's weird because I kind of feel like in some way that's the direction I'm headed personally, where it's like I feel like I don't necessarily, I go through different periods. I feel like sometimes I feel like really connected to, like, I don't know, like a higher power, but then other times I feel like I don't really understand the point of things, and I lose faith, or I lose like a belief that things are going to be okay. And to me, faith is the belief that things are going to be okay, and that at the end of the day, we're all capable of getting back into that zone, or feeling okay. Some of you, I feel like some of you really just need to, I feel like a couple things are happening. One is you're very focused on work. There's this very strong vibe about being focused on work for some of you. And I feel like some of you are trying to do things maybe outside of work, that, not empower you, but make you feel like you're making a contribution. I definitely feel like some of you need to work on making a contribution or doing something that is fulfilling aside from work. I definitely see that. For some of you, your financial flow, you're going to be in like a seriously strong you're having strong financial flow, which means like there's a certain balance with your finances. Now, some of you may feel, I don't know, kind of paranoid or worried that you're going to have that, but I don't see that. I see like you're going to have this very strong financial flow, and or there's someone around you that has, you know, a very strong career, and some of you do have a very strong career. So it's, you know, career to me is not an issue for some of you. It's like, you know, there's this very strong financial prosperity element that's going to be happening for you. If it hasn't happened already, I definitely feel like it's coming. I want to tell you to keep your eye out for like, to me, you got this thing about like a near miss. So you need to make sure you're paying attention when you're going out, and other people need to pay a very strong attention to what's going on around you at this time. Near misses can be, sometimes this card talks about maybe getting sick, but it's only for a short period of time. It's not like you're doomed or anything like that. It's just like you may get sick, but you're going to bounce back. To me, there's an element of bouncing back. So maybe if you go through kind of a low period, you're gonna bounce back. To me, there's this element about a swift recovery and a positive outcome. So if things kind of happen quickly, or if you feel like things aren't happening, I feel like there's things that are going to come through for you that are going to be positive, and the outcome's going to be positive no matter what the circumstances. Could be help from friends, could be positive feedback, could be, you know, a loving family. You know, to me, this is like all things that have to do with this card. So I just see it as a positive thing. Okay, so that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, Google Plusing. I will be back again for more videos, so stay tuned. And I send everyone big hugs, big kisses, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. All right, take care. All the best.